So we're gonna talk about how to finance your study abroad, right? So you have a place you wanna go, or you have a program you wanna participate, but the biggest question is how you're gonna pay that. I just wanna give the time frame. So if you are interested in study abroad with scholarship, it takes about a year to prepare, right? So if you wanna just participate in study abroad, you can just choose to pick the program and then go to the summer. Like you can do it in March. You can pick this program like March, and you can just decide to go in the summer. But if you're interested in a study abroad with scholarship, it takes about a year to prepare. So we are doing this workshop because we are thinking ahead. We are thinking about when study abroad comes back after the pandemic. This is the right time to start thinking about it. Okay, so this is just one example of time frame. So if you are interested in going to summer study abroad, you have to start preparing as early as October. Okay, so this is a good time to start about a year ahead. I want to talk a little bit about the two different types of scholarships. So there are two different types of scholarships. One is the need-based, and the other one is the merit-based. Okay, so need-based scholarships usually think about like how much financial need you have in order to succeed in your academic endeavors, right? And this kind of scholarships include such as Pell Grants, TAP, Excelsior, and also LaGuardia offers LaGuardia Foundation scholarships. These are all need-based scholarships. Right? And then to apply for these scholarships, you have to demonstrate like the degree of your financial needs. The other kind of the scholarship is a merit-based. So merit-based is awarded to someone who has a potential or who have a promise to be the excellent or exemplar student in the program, right? So usually the merit-based scholarships care about how good you are. It doesn't even ask how much money you make. So that's something you'll be asked for the needs-based. Merit-based, you have to just show that why they have to give you money, and then what's going to happen once they give you money. And these scholarships include Fulbright, Gilman, Critical Language Scholarship, and Boren Scholarship. So which one do you think cares more about GPA? So GPA counts more in what kind of scholarships? Is it need-based or merit-based? You can respond in chat. So if you're high GPA, you're likely to receive which scholarship? Needs-based or merit-based? Obviously merit-based, right? If you, let's say you're working full-time and you're a full-time student, which scholarship you're more likely to receive? It's a needs-based, right? So first thing you have to think about is like, what's the nature of the scholarships, right? So if before applying, what do they care? Why are they giving out money? Do they care about the financial needs, or do they care about the future potentials? How much do you think it costs to study abroad? Let's say you're going to Paris for a month in the summer. How much money you need? You can just again respond in the chat. I think we already talked about it in the activity. I guess you already have some ideas. You're right, like about 5,000 ish, right? You can plan like your budget according to your lifestyles. Some people spend more money. Some people can save, even going to the same destinations. But roughly, you should have at least like $4,000 to $5,000 for study abroad in the summer for a month. Okay. This is the breakdown of the budget. Large part of the cost comes from the tuition and fees. So this is the money you pay to the program. Right? And this is the money you actually pay anyway in order to receive credits. Okay? The good news is since this is the credits, if you are receiving Pell, the Pell grants can cover this part of the travel. So depending on like how much, how many credits the program bears, it could be 1,000 or 2,000, but this part you can cover with your Pell grants. Okay. The airfare varies. You need a little bit of research. Even like you take the same flight, people pay different amount of money. So this is requires a lot of research to get the cheap flight. Room and board also is in a quite big range. Even though the program requires you to stay in one place, a specific place, there are many ways you can save for the room and board. And another place you can save is personal expenses. So this is where you have a control a little bit. But overall, you should set aside about $5,000. So where do you get that money? One program we recommend to the LaGuardia students is one of the National Study Abroad Scholarships. It's called the Benjamin Gilman Scholarship. So these are all national scholarships, one of the most prestigious types of study abroad scholarships. And they come in a different range. From the left side, the Boren hours, this is the longest. I mean, this targets the longest study abroad and gives the largest amount of money. Right? But it's also very competitive. In fact, none of us has received these Boren hours so far. Gilman is kind of between. It targets about study abroad in summer or winter, and it gives up to $5,000. One thing we like about the Gilman is if you get it, you don't need to worry about financing. Right? So there are lots of different kinds of scholarships. I can share the link to the different kinds of scholarships, but all scholarships give you some partial amount of your study abroad cost. It could be about $1,000 or $2,000. It's devastating that you have to cancel your study abroad, even if you get the scholarships, since you cannot pay the rest of the fund, right? So you get the $2,000 scholarship, but you still have to pay $3,000, and you cannot cover that much amount of money, and then you have to cancel entirely. That's not going to happen with the Benjamin Gilman. If you get it, don't worry about the finance, because it covers usually almost entire cost of the study abroad. Okay. There are two other programs, Critical Language Scholarship and Freeman Asia. These are a little bit different because Critical Language Scholarship usually targets someone who speaks the language spoken in the country. So if you're going to Japan, you have to speak a very advanced Japanese language. Freeman Asia specifically targets the Asia. So if you're interested in Asia, this is one another things you might want to explore. Moving on. So should I close it?
Okay, I will do the next part. Let me pull up the screen. So the two professors before me talk about where you can look for a program, a place where you can enrich your experience, and also where you can find money. In the next 10 slides or so, I'm going to give you an overview of probably the most manageable target from LaGuardia students for a number of reasons. The Gilman International Scholarship is organized by the U.S. Department of State. So this is a government-sponsored program. Now, there are some requirements, some limitations, and I think you can understand that easily if I explain it this way. It is the U.S. government wanting American students going abroad, learn something about other countries, other cultures, and then come back and do something for American society. So one of the requirements is that you have to be an American citizen. Some students may be, if you are holding a green card, then it doesn't, it is not open to you right now. But some of the other choices we talked about before, and I think particularly the LaGuardia Foundation scholarship is open for a variety of purposes, and you can go and put in a request, write a short essay to explain why you want that. And also there are private organizations that you can use to sponsor your study abroad. But particularly about the Gilman Scholarship, I can give you some background or some insight about what it is covering and how to prepare yourself. Last October, November, I served on a panel and I read about 35 students' essays from all over the country. And of course, they will not give you someone who is from your own institution, right? So I will, even if you apply in future and I see one of those panels, I will not be reading your essay, but I can help you before you submit your materials. Here we have an overview, and I'm not going to read sentence by sentence, word for word, because you can have the file later. But just a few overview. You have to plan way ahead. You need to find a program that you have already been accepted, and then at the same time, you apply for the money. So this scholarship will not help you find a location. It will not help you find a university elsewhere. You have to do that on your own separately, okay? And it will cover up to $5,000. Now, among the applications that I have read, many of them are for a short duration, 6 to 8 weeks, 4 weeks in the winter, in the summer. Some of them are really dedicated students. They want to go and study for 1 semester. And some of them actually want to study a year. Now, if they're going for a year, then obviously $5,000 would not be enough to cover all the expenses. But, applicants can put together other ways to sponsor their study. And I remember reading some of the questions that someone asked earlier in the chat area. If you go and do study abroad, are these usually counted as your regular credits or honors credits? Most of the time is regular credits, and you have to work with your major and try to figure out the courses you're taking elsewhere. When you come back, when you transfer the credits back to LaGuardia, where do they fit? At the very, very least, they can fit as electives. And if you are taking a class in, a world history in a foreign country, then very likely it can be transferred back to one of the pathways electives, right? So again, all the professors here today, you can get our contact information down the road if you have questions about how to combine what you want to study and how to make use of the scholarship, the opportunity. We can talk about those later. Now, in terms of the Gilman Scholarship, the next upcoming deadline is March 2nd, which is almost exactly 1 month to go. So it may not work for you right now, but as the 2 professors mentioned earlier, it is always a good idea to plan ahead. And again, in this, pandemic situation, it is not quite likely that you can make a trip this summer. However, next winter, things may be improving. maybe you have your own vaccine, and many other countries are more prepared. So if you only start thinking about study abroad then, 6 months, 9 months later, then you can only go maybe the end of 2022, right? So that's why start early, plan ahead. In the past, we have a record of a few of the students from LaGuardia who were successful getting the Gilman scholarship. And, you know, at a quick look, maybe you recognize some of your friends. They were successful. So, yeah, LaGuardia has a good track record of sponsoring students. And when it comes to the application process, I'll give you a little bit more insight. And again, just like when you write a resume, how to package yourself, how to explain that you are the best person to do this, or how you can benefit from this experience. If you write those essays well, you will have a good chance of being accepted. Now, what we like about the Gilman Scholarship is that it is for students with U.S. citizenship status, and you have to be a Pell Grant recipient. In other words, it is particularly for students who don't have very wealthy families to support you study abroad. All right, let me be very blunt, very straightforward. It is absolutely fine if you are taking financial aid, but you still have big dreams about, you know, going to see the rest of the world, or thinking about a career using languages, using your, because I think, again, many LaGuardia students are already multilingual. You want to use that experience to help you in your jobs in the future. So the Gilman Scholarship is the right place for you. It is especially for students who are receiving financial aid. And there is a smaller category of, an additional category of scholarship called the Gilman-McCain Scholarship. And that is for children, or if you are yourself a current or former U.S. military service member, then there's another thing that you can qualify. So again, if you know of any, if you yourself belong to that category, let us know. We don't have a lot of information about that. We have not dealt with a lot of those, but we can definitely show you in the right direction. Now, when it comes to the Gilman Scholarship application process, there are a few essays you have to write. At least you have to write 3. And I think for another extra $500, you can write another essay, and then you can get that portion. And I'll explain that a little bit. One thing about GPA, as Professor Nagano mentioned before, the minimum requirement usually is 2.5. And when you apply for the Gilman Scholarship, you will give authorization to our registrar to include your transcript to be submitted to this organization. So yeah, they will see your grades. Now, most LaGuardia students are very hardworking, and your grades, your GPAs are probably, you know, good enough to be above 2.5. I think they have that requirement for a number of reasons. They want to see someone who is capable and independent enough to do study, because when you are in a foreign country studying, no one is going to check with you on your deadline and all that. So you need to have some good skills and good discipline. So your transcript will be part of the submission process. Now, about the different essays. Now here, there's a little catch. Don't worry too much. You see 7,000 characters. You say, oh my God, 7,000 words. No, it's 7,000 characters. I don't know. The typical English word is 5 to 7 letters long. So it's usually about a page to 2 pages on the statement of purpose. Why you want to study, why you pick that particular country. Some countries, some universities overseas offer general courses. You can go there and study a language, or you can go there and study business. or biology in English, right? I mean, usually when you go study abroad, it is not very likely that you are skillful enough to study nursing or engineering or accounting in French, in Italian, unless you already speak the language very well. So usually you don't pick that kind of a program. You pick a program where you can study a subject in English together with maybe local students or other international students in the host country. Okay, so in the first essay, you will try to showcase or show off how dedicated you are or why you are interested in going. And then there will be 2 essays asking you to explain how you can be a cultural ambassador, right? So you're not working in a political sense, but you represent American citizens. And you go to another country, you make friends, people ask you about what America is like, and then you also get to know other countries' cultures and social customs. So in this essay, you will say why you would be a good person to represent that diversity. And this one is about a 1-page long limit. And then they will also ask you how you prepare to give back to your own community after you return. So typically, some of the more convincing stories that I read in the application essays, students will say, well, maybe when I'm abroad, I can make a YouTube channel. I will post things on social media. Or when I come back, I will work with my student government to advertise Gilman Scholarship and share my experience with other students. Some students say, I will also go back to my college and help on the student newspaper to write about my stories. Or again, in this digital world, some students who apply for the essay, for the scholarship, will also say, I will make a podcast, right? So blogging, all kinds of technology methods, they want to know how you bring it back to America, your own college. Now, then I believe for another $500, if you write another essay, and this one, you have to say that, well, I want to practice language, or I already have some degree of ability in a foreign language. When I go to that host country, I will particularly want to spend more time on developing ability in those languages. Now, for this one, yes, there's extra money, but the government is also looking for someone who will contribute when you come back. So they limit the choices to what they call critical need language scholarship. Let me go back a few screens here, right? So the bottom part, unfortunately, if you want to go to Spain, Italy, or France, or the UK, or Australia, you won't be qualified to apply for the additional money. However, if you go to some of these countries where the languages are not spoken by a lot of American people, then the organization hosting the scholarship would be willing to consider giving you another $500 if you go and study these languages, because down the road, when you come back to America, no matter whether you work in business, tourism, or you become a college professor, or you work for the government, these are the languages that are not so commonly spoken by American people. That's why the U.S. State Department is willing to give additional money if you want to go to Brazil, for instance, to learn Portuguese, or go to other Asian countries. Many of the Asian countries, their languages are listed as eligible. Okay, so let me wrap up. When you prepare yourself sometimes down the road for job interviews, writing resumes and all that is more or less the same thing. You want to tell a story. You want to say why you want to, why you are the best person for this scholarship. Now, you will have our contact information in the slideshow. So if you really want to go ahead with some of these application processes, let us know. We can help you edit your essays, or if you have professors in your major, they are probably willing to help you as well. Now, I will just finish by showing you, oh, this is colorful collection of flags. Last October, I served on this panel, and there were over 1,000 applicants, I think over 1,500. And it is actually quite interesting and surprising, probably because of the influence of popular culture. South Korea, last time, was the most popular place that people wanted to go. Now, of course, the percentage of success was, I think, about 50% of all the applicants. So not everyone asking to go, they will be granted. And also there's no quota for one particular country. It all depends on how you write your essay. So last time I read about 20, 30 essays, but there are some statistics saying that, yes, some of the common European countries are still the most popular choices, the UK, Spain, Italy, and France. But to many people's surprise, South Korea and Spain, South Korea and Japan are becoming quite popular. Now, on the other hand, you don't need to go with the popular choices. I also remember reading essays where students want to go to Jordan, Egypt, Russia, because either they have a military service background or they have heritage connection. Their parents, their family came from those places, and they want to go and see the place, study language, and also learn about the culture. So what I show you here is a very interesting summary of the choices, but it doesn't mean that if you choose to go to these places, you will get a higher chance or lower chance of successful. No, it all depends on your own writing. Okay, so I finished my portion of the presentation.